The next point is preparing for the covenant ceremony. That's Exodus 19. So I skipped over 18. 18 is where Moses is giving advice. Don't work as a single judge to this nation. Bring in other people to judge. So he made 70 judges, the heads. He took the leaders of the tribes and he made them into judges. We go into 19. And in 19, so we have 16 manna, 17 the split rock, 18 the judges, 19 is the preparation. Why did they have to prepare? I thought that we cleansed them in the mount in the Red Sea. Although they were clean for the ceremony in the Red Sea, and they had to be, they needed to have a special preparation for the day itself. So you might have your child wash from the muds and stuff, but then the ceremony is going to be in a couple of days where you actually sign the contracts and do this. So before you go to the church and do the wedding or sign the ceremony, you need to wash them, to wash at least their feet, their hands, their faces. So this is a minor cleansing, not the major one. So God told Moses to tell the Israelites of the very special place they have in God's heart. He told them, let them know how much they are to me, who they are. They are very special. So what is he saying? Now, therefore, if you will indeed obey my voice and keep my covenant, then you shall be a special treasure to me. That's very tender, language. Say, you are my treasure. Who are we to God call us his treasure? Who are we? You are a treasure to me, he says. A special treasure to me. Above all people, for all the earth is mine. They're all mine. And you shall be to me a kingdom of priests. This is why I told you, why did God needed an extra covenant with Abraham? He's saying it here, right? He's telling his people, they're all mine. But I want you to be an extra special people. Why? He's saying it. He's already made a covenant with Noah, and through Noah to the whole humanity. But he's going to zero on a little bit, focus on this group that belongs to Abraham. Why? A kingdom of priests, a holy nation. You will be the priest. Do you have priests? Can you make a priest without congregation? So who are they priests to? The whole earth. Because the earth is God's. All the people. So sometimes we say the evil people, the people outside, and St. Paul said, we don't judge them. They belong to him. We have a job to do and to be light and salt to the rest of them, to bring them closer to God, to show them the way to heaven. And all what I can judge is myself and us. I cannot judge the outsiders. That's not my job. So we are, and the Israelites were, the priest, kingdom of priests and holy nation. They were to meet God in 3 days. It's going to take them 3 days to be there, during which they needed to consecrate themselves. So you're going on there will be a very special day. And I told you, this is the crazy thing. They're going to meet God face to face. They will see their God. Something, if you think about it, is to blow anybody's mind. Something crazy. So what did they needed to do? He told Moses, consecrate the people. Moses translated it to them. He said, God said this, listen carefully. He said, tell the people to consecrate themselves and wash their clothes. Consecrate themselves and wash their clothes. So what does it mean to consecrate oneself? What does that mean? Moses translated it. To abstain from marital relationship with their wives. Okay, why is that? Why is that important? That they abstain from sexual relationship between husband and wife. Is that wrong? Is that evil or defiling? Why? Any idea? We say too, when you come to communion, we should not have, those who are married people don't have a marital relationship the night before. Why? Not because it's wrong, or it is evil. God forbid. God created it for the bond of husband and wife. Because it's a competition. To consecrate oneself is to do what? To totally, completely give oneself to God. In marital relationships, a person gives himself to the other. They give each other themselves. So it is going to be a little bit of a competition between giving myself to my spouse or giving myself to God. Body, soul, and spirit, everything. So to consecrate oneself it means that I'm going to prepare to give myself to God. That's exactly it. And to wash my clothes. Those are the two conditions that he said. For 3 days, do those things. When the day of the covenant came, the people got scared from the manifestations of the theophany. Early morning, God appeared on the mountain. There was fire, smoke, thundering, lightning, earthquake, trumpet sound. Imagine one of those just scares us. Thundering and lightning, when it's a little bit strong, people get a little bit scared. We're going to be burned. Put an earthquake on top of it. And then on top of that, also little fire and smoke on a mountain, huge fire and smoke. And add to that a trumpet that's very loud and it keeps getting louder. If that doesn't scare you, I don't know what would, right? So they were scared, and rightly so. And the sound of the trumpet and the voice of words, they got them so scared. Now, after all that, with all this background music, God started to speak. And when God spoke from the mountain, they had no clue what he was saying. They didn't know what God was saying. Only Moses could hear him. And once they started to realize that they didn't understand God, what do you think happened? And the voice was very terrible, actually, terrible. Moses himself said, I am terrified. Moses was terrified, let alone the people. What do you think the people did? In the letter to the Hebrew, and the sound of a trumpet and the voice of words, so that those who heard it begged that the word should not be spoken to them anymore. Stop, we don't want to hear it. We don't want to hear anything. Let's go. And they started running away from the mountain, very far from the mountain. They got so scared. When God started uttering the 10 commandments, they asked Moses to stand between them and God to be the mediator. And what did they say? You speak with us, and we will hear. But let not God speak with us, lest we die. They got scared that God's continuing to speak. They would actually be killed. Although Moses himself was terrified, he understood the reasons of the strong theophany and reassured the people. He himself was afraid. What did he say? Do not fear. It's a little contradictory. Look at what he's saying and try to understand it without, breaking it down. Do not fear, for God has come to test you, and that his fear may be before you, so that you may not sin. Does it seem contradictory? Do not fear that his fear might be before you. What does it mean? He's saying to them, God is not going to hurt you. He's not. But he wants you to be aware of his awesomeness. He is an awesome God. So there is a fear and there is a fear. The fear of God that God is actually requiring of us is to keep him number one. To think of him, of God, as the most important person. Whatever he says has to be obeyed and followed. But not to be scared of him. This is the difference. To be scared of God to the degree that we run away from him. That's not the case. The Lord responded, I've heard the voice of the words of this people. They said, let's not talk to him again. Let him talk to us. You listen to what he's saying, and you come back and tell us, we listen to you. You become the mediator, the one in between. And what do you think God would say? They refused to listen to God. They wanted Moses to be in between. What do you think God will feel about this? If you were God, what would you feel? Hurt? I would hurt. Yes, that would hurt me. But listen to what God said to Moses. The Lord responded, I've heard the voice of the words of this people, which they have spoken to you. They are right in all that they have spoken. Oh, that they had such a heart in them, that they would fear me and always keep all my commandments, that it might be well with them and with their children forever. He didn't mind it. God said, good, that's good. I wish that this would impress on them. The most important thing is the commandments, that they would remember the commandments with such fear. So it's not about me. They fear me or they don't fear me. It's about actually, because the commandments is going to be their life. They do it, they will live. They don't do it, they will. So in all this show of power, what concern did God have in heart? Himself or them? Them. Sometimes a parent will do this. A parent may act angry and they are violent, but deep down in their hearts, this is because they are careful for their own or caring for their own dignity and honor, or caring for the child who's going to do destruction to himself or herself. Why the parent is showing anger? If they are sincere and good parents, for their sake or for the sake of the child? For the sake of the child. That's what it is. So the whole point is that the commandments that God has given for them to have better life, but if they don't follow it and it is not impressed on them, they would not remember it. So the beginning of all the precautions that God has done, the memory of this horrible, terrible, scary theophany, they will always remember in the mind of the Israelites, God showed himself to us with the terrible signs. And don't get on the wrong side of him. It is not good. Always try to be on his good list. Later in Deuteronomy, Moses wrote about God's response to the request for a mediator. And he said this, the Lord your God will raise up for you a prophet like me from your midst, from your brethren. Him you shall hear, according to all you desired of the Lord your God in Horeb, in the day of the assembly, saying, let me not hear again the voice of the Lord my God, nor let me see this great fire anymore, lest I die. This request is fulfilled in Christ. He said, a prophet like me, God will raise, and he will speak all my words to you. And this happened. In John 6, when Jesus did the miracle of 5 loaves and 2 fish, what did the people say? This is truly the prophet who should come to the world. They referred to this. When they got terrified and said, let us have a mediator. Moses, you be the mediator, you speak to him. And God says, perfect. I will do another prophet like you. And anyone who doesn't listen to that prophet, I'm going to send. Why did he call his son prophet? We talked about this in Dogma. There would be any chance of God saying, I have a son hidden, you will see him. Actually, in fact, every time that Israel speaks to someone, it's to Christ. He was the spokesman for God all the time. The Father, nobody had seen. So it would make sense for them to know that God is Father, Son, Holy Spirit at the time? Absolutely not. It would drive them crazy. Because they just came out of Egypt with multiple gods. You cannot tolerate this. So he's going to have to call him and is he a prophet? In which sense? He is the spokesperson for the Father. He's the word of the Father. Perfectly fitting.